This is Life Experiences with William Pelarenos on WRMN 1410 AM. And I am your host for the next 24 minutes here. My guest today is a semi retired reporter who has worked for many publications. Most recently, he spent 15 years with the Chicago Tribune. George Houde, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Bill. It's always a pleasure to be here and be on the radio with you.
George was my guest about 5 years ago. We talked about closed cases because he'd go to trials, sit in the trials, also read the transcripts, and write for the Chicago Tribune. But you also wrote for many other publications. Let's do your background a little bit before we get into the heart of the story today.
Well, I hate to go back that far. You know, it's just back in the last century, I started my first job out of college was with the Milwaukee Journal, night police reporter, worked second shift, and that was kind of how I started on the path of covering crime, courts, cops. Then I went to the Associated Press in Chicago. I was there. Then I moved to I actually worked for Copley Newspapers, the Courier News here in Elgin. I worked here for 15 years. And then I moved to the Chicago Tribune and started there covering courts, Cook County courts, more crime. I did spend a year in El Salvador as a journalist during the early days of the war there. So I've been around the block a little bit. It's been a long time.
Oh, I agree. But the majority of your career seems to be in crime reporting and trial reporting, correct?
Yes. Yeah, I've covered a lot of murder trials, a lot of trials, a lot of police, just a lot of that. Just hanging around with cops all the time, talking to them and having a lot of friends in the law enforcement community.
And today, you wanted to focus on an unsolved crime.
Well, yeah.
The murder of 5 women in Tinley Park approximately 18 years ago. You want to bring a little light to it. Maybe by doing this broadcast, somebody can give some information and help move the case to closure. So give the background, and this is known as the Lane Bryant murders, correct?
Correct.
All right.
Lane Bryant murders occurred on February 2nd, 2008. So it's a fairly old case. It's an unsolved crime. And it's kind of been in the news lately because there's a guy bringing out a documentary about it called the Lane Bryant Murders, who killed these women. So it's been that's been in the news. Also, on February 2nd every year, the community has a little remembrance of these murders. It was such a horrific crime for somebody to go in and just shoot 6 women. 5 were killed in the place where they worked, and it really struck the Chicagoland community as a horrific crime and one that still haunts us to this day.
For people that don't shop in that mall or aren't familiar with Lane Bryant, tell us what it's about.
On that morning, it was a Saturday morning, February 2nd, 2008. A man entered the Lane Bryant store at a shopping mall. It's on 191st and Harlem Avenue in Tinley Park. He walked in, announced a robbery. He duct taped the women in the store. There was a manager, an employee, and then there were 2 women. He duct taped them and led them to a back room, had them lay face down on the floor in the back room. 2 other women came in the store. It's a busy shopping center. It's a exterior shopping center. It's not an inside shopping center, but the stores are all connected on an exterior on a sidewalk. So he had these women bound in the back room and displayed a handgun, and which is what he shot them with eventually. So while he was going through the store, there was two cash registers in the store containing $200 each. Uh, One of the women, the manager actually, managed to make a 911 call as she was lying on the floor. The 911 call came in at 10:45 a.m., and there is a recording of that. He discovered her making the call and then shot the woman. That's the suspicion that is when he started shooting the women after she made the call. So there's a recording of that call, and there still is um, on the Tinley Park Police website. There is a place where you can uh, hit a button and you can get almost all the news releases and a lot of the information from the incident. So the man, the suspect, the offender, then fled the store, and that was the nobody saw him leave except one of the women who survived. One of the victims survived because she was just slightly wounded in the neck, and she was able to give the police a description of the offender, and there is quite a bit of a three-dimensional picture of him, which you can see on. We're going to display it here for you too, um, of the offender. And there's a reward. The reward is still in effect: $100,000. 50,000 of that came from the Lane Bryant company, and another 50,000 was donated by an anonymous donor. So that is still in effect, and police are still seeking information about this offender because somebody knew, somebody must know, somebody saw something. There was a pretty distinctive description of him. He had corn rolls. He was described as a black male, about 30 years old, about 6 feet to 6 feet 2 inches tall, and with a corn roll that was on kind of hung down on the right side of his face that had green beads woven into it on the end of it. So there is some highly detailed information and in the description. He also had jeans on that had some sort of rhinestone embroidery on the back pockets, and a dark jacket and a gray stocking cap. The question is, how could he get away without anybody seeing him or getting? He must have had a car. That's the assumption that he had a car and got away that way. Because the police arrived after the 911 call came in. The police arrived within 2 minutes because there was a police car not far away at that time. So he was in the store for 40 minutes from approximately 10:08 to 10:45 or a little bit after 10:45 a.m. So he must have been in there about 40 minutes and left his voice on the 911 call. So they're still searching for him. Immediately, there was a task force of about 50 detectives at the time searching for any clue to find this offender.
George,
Yeah.
George, that shopping mall that you're trying to describe. Now, I've never been there, and I'm sure many listeners have not been there. So this is an individual store in an outside shopping mall, not an enclosed one. But they're all side by side with other stores. So
Correct.
we don't have access, obviously, to video because it's not an enclosed store, enclosed mall. Correct?
Correct. There's no surveillance video that has come to light. Just the 911 call. Whether there was surveillance video in other stores at that time, it was 2008. It probably wasn't as prevalent as it is now. So, because now, there is surveillance cameras everywhere. So there's no actual video of the offender leaving, how he left, did he get in a car, nothing like that. But because now people are arrested just from red light cameras and evidence, video of people just driving along the street and they can be placed there, that sort of thing.
Now technology has come so far where we can track offenders and crimes with license plate readers that are mounted stationary in the city of Chicago and towns and other suburbs. Also, a lot of squad cars have license plate readers, so you could tell who was in that area at that time, and they could backtrack. And a lot of crimes have been solved like that. But with this case, 18 years ago, we had far less technology out there. But there is a phone number if anybody's got information. Let's go back to the wanted flyer, to the updated 100,000. No, the other one. There you go. And if you scroll down the bottom, it says anybody has any information, the Tinley Park Police Department investigations at 708 444 5394 or Lane Bryant tipline at tinleypark.org. So you can contact them through the phone number or through the internet. If anybody knows anything about this, or they can add a few tips and clues to the police and help them move forward with an arrest and a prosecution, it would not only bring closure to the families, but there needs to be justice, because 5 women were murdered, brutally murdered in cold blood, and the 6th one suffered a gunshot wound. Luckily, she survived. But it's a horrendous murder, and a lot of people have not heard of it because it happened 18 years ago, plus it was in the South Side. Tinley Park is a southern suburb.
Southern suburb of, it straddles Cook County and Will County. Very busy area, because the shopping center is located right off of, just close to I-80 and Harlem Avenue. So the access to the shopping center is very easy from I-80 and Harlem Avenue. And there's a number of stores in that shopping center. There's a Target. I think there's a grocery store, might be a Jewel. I'm not sure about that. But it's a very busy area. So there may be somebody who saw something, or somebody who knows this person.
Or
and
somebody who may remember something.
Yes, who might remember something. And even if we are much farther north, this area here, this listening area, but still, I'm always reminded of the Brown's Chicken murders, which happened over here in Palatine, and took 9 years before somebody came forward to say, yes, I know who did this, right? I think it's this person because he told me, and that ended in the conviction of 2 people, one from Carpentersville, and so you never know. You never know. Somebody, even if we're farther north, somebody may know.
You know, this case is so famous. It's even listed on Wikipedia. We're bringing Wikipedia up. It's listed under Lane Bryant shooting.
Yeah.
Can you read that, Matthew? Can you read that narrative there?
Yep. So it says, quote, "The Lane Bryant shooting was an incident of mass murder and armed robbery at a Lane Bryant clothing outlet in the Brookside Marketplace in Tinley Park, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago, that occurred on February 2nd, 2008. The shooting resulted in 5 people killed and a 6th injured. The identity of the shooter remains unknown. Police released a sketch of the suspect on February 11th, 2008, receiving 24 leads in the first 24 hours.
Scroll down to the shooting. Go ahead.
4 customers, a part-time employee, and the store manager were taken to the back of the store and shot. 5 of them, all women, were killed. The part-time employee was wounded but survived. The 5 fatal victims had all been shot in the head, execution style, and the 6th woman survived because she shifted her head right before being shot, causing the bullet to only graze her neck. At least one of the victims was sexually assaulted by the perpetrator. Police found the victim shortly after receiving an emergency call at 10:45 a.m. The gunman was described as a black man with thick, cornrowed hair and a receding hairline, along with one braid lying over the right side of his face at cheek level and decorated with 4 light green beads on the end. Police believe the attack was a robbery gone airy through the motive of the shooting, though the motive of the shooting had been a matter of debate.
I think you tried to say robbery gone awry.
Awry.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yes. All right. Go down to the aftermath. What's that? What's there?
The shopping center was closed and locked down while being searched. It was reopened after police found that the gunman had left the immediate area. A $100,000 reward, half of which was donated by Lane Bryant's parent company, Charming Shops Incorporated, was offered for information leading to the gunman's arrest. On February 6, 2008, Lane Bryant announced the establishment of the Lane Bryant Tinley Park Memorial Fund in honor of the 5 women who were killed. Lane Bryant also offered to pay for the victims' funerals. Now, the Steve Wilkos show, being taped in Chicago, profiled the suspect of the shooting at the end of one episode since the incident. The store building itself remained unused and was demolished. TJ Maxx built a new building on the property where the original Lane Bryant store was located.
So that actual store structure was closed for over a year before TJ Maxx rebuilt, correct?
Yes. Yes, it was abandoned for quite a while. And then eventually TJ Maxx moved in there. And I think there's a Target store like right next to it. But the one of the things about it is this offender was in the store for 40 minutes. So what he was doing is unclear, but to just shoot the 5 women execution style as they lay on the floor, horrible incident. And I think that this case may, and I don't know if there's any DNA evidence. The police haven't revealed that, but they did reveal that the gun used was a semi-automatic. So, and that's been in the public domain, that information.
Let's put
So-
up that phone number one more time. Go to the wanted poster. There's currently a $100,000 reward. There, 100,000 at the bottom. At the bottom, it clearly says Tinley Park Police Department phone number for tips and clues is 708-444-5394, or you can email at lanebryant.tipline@tinleypark.org. Either way, if you have any information, or even if you think it's minuscule, it means nothing, you don't know how that little piece of the puzzle falls into the already existing investigation. So it's important that anybody out there who's listening or watching this YouTube, that they reach out to the Tinley Park Police Department, because we really need closure on this case through an arrest and prosecution for not only the sake of justice for these 5 women that were murdered, but also for closure for the families, as we said in the beginning of the program. And I'm glad George is highlighting this case. You know, with George, I had him on a previous show, and we always talked about closed cases. So it's that have been resolved in court. So I'd like to see this one through anybody that can give information. I'd like to see an arrest, and I'd like to see go to trial, and then
Yeah.
we could see what come out of the trial.
It would be great. That would be a great resolution to this. And I think, the police have so far have received over 7,500 tips on this case and have followed up quite a few of them. The police department is still active, and they assigned 2 new detectives to the case, I think, in 2023. So they're still continuing to pursue leads on this and have not given up. But the longer the time passes from the date of the incidents, the harder it is to solve these cases, although it's not impossible.
So if anybody feels like they know a little something, or they can, even a minuscule tip can help out move the case forward, towards resolution. We really appreciate that. I want all my listeners to know that. And of course, there's an ongoing $100,000 reward, as we mentioned previously. George, I really want to thank you for coming out and highlighting this case because of its importance in the investigation. And the Tinley Park, I'm going to tell you something. I was a policeman when this went down. The Tinley Park police has really done a good job. But look, they were hampered because they didn't have no video. That really hurts.
Yeah.
Nowadays, almost everything is videotaped. You see everything from incidents in street fights to car accidents to shopping mall fights at Walmart.
Right.
And we've talked about that on previous shows.
Right.
Yep.
You see
But
everything. Well, I don't know. In this case, I don't know if there's fingerprints.
well, we don't know.
We
but
don't know.
Listen, the important thing is for callers to call that tip line.
Yeah.
If you know anything, call it up. The police know what they got, and maybe they can put another piece into the puzzle. I want to thank George for being on and highlighting this case. George, you're a wonderful guy. You've done a good job in the past, and you're still doing a good job. Follow me on Facebook at Pelarenos Police Project. Let me say that again, Pelarenos Police Project. Thank you, and we'll be right back.
Thanks, Bill.